Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon all of you, my fellow learners, professionals, ladies and gentlemen. So, as you would have already noticed, if you're here, this video is particularly going to focus on the Oxford Brookes University's research and analysis project. You're undertaking that as a ACCA student. I want to impart a few advices to help you avoid making some critical errors and critical mistakes that students tend to normally make. And if you can avoid these, if you can take heed of these, you would have actually, the approach that you're taking to do your RAP will be very extensive, very complete, and the opportunities and the chances of failing the project will basically be eliminated. And this is, in some sense, you can even consider this to be a reminder, but let's take a look. 5 main mistakes to avoid when you're preparing for the Oxford Brookes University's RAP submission, or the research and analysis project submission. The first one is not reading the information pack completely. It's basically about the requirements. Now, the information pack is a very extensive document. You can find the link for the information pack below in the description section, but you have to make sure that you read the information pack extensively and completely, that you have leave no blanks in your reading of the information pack, because everything you need is there. That is your sort of like your first fundamental guide. That is like your Bible to learning what you have to do. And that is the first point of contact in terms of the RAP itself, because you might be speaking to mentors, and one of my experiences is that some mentors have very weird approaches, but this is where the information pack can be really helpful, because it's being written by the university, right? By the team at the University of Oxford Brookes. So they are the ones who are going to review your project. They know what they want, and the first means of communication is through the information pack. So please do make sure that you read it if you want to eliminate all possible chances of failing your project. The second is not attending all the webinars by OBU and not engaging well. The whole idea is that we try to be up to date. You need to be up to date about the information, because the information keeps getting updated. And one thing I've noticed with every submission that is happening is that OBU's game, the way they review and the game is elevated with every submission period. So if I explain this to you, let's say there's a project, right? And there could be a project where if it was submitted back in 2017, it would have passed. But the same project, if it had been in that level, in that quality, if it had been submitted today in 2020 or 21 or 22, it would get a fail, because their game is elevated, right? The requirements and the competitive nature of the projects, of the quality of the projects they're receiving is elevated. So I've seen this trend over the years where I see the quality of the projects, the demanded quality of the project by OBU itself is massive. It's way up there. So you have to really up your game, which means you need to be updated about, regardless of the information pack and the information it avails to you. You have to know what the updated requirements are and how the OBU reviewers think. And the best place to do that or learn that is the webinars that they organize. So you have to ensure that you attend the webinars. Actually, you can find the link for the webinars also in the description section. But the other thing is you have to make or get the best out of these webinars. And how do you do that? By asking questions. So you have to attend the webinars live and ask all questions from them that you have. That is exactly why the webinars are, right? So I know Dr. Kate Ringham, who is the director of the entire program, is a serious attendee of the webinars. She attends them, she brings her input. So she's the best point of contact for you to ask any and all questions. So if you can, because they also give you the recordings, but if not, right, the best possible option would be to set aside that date, book the webinar and get registered, get the link, attend the webinar live, pay attention carefully, and also ask any and all questions that you have. That's number 2. Number 3 is not starting your research effort as soon or as early as possible. Time. Now, the time factor is very essential because I get a lot of mentees who sometimes, just keep putting it off. Even last session, period 42, there were 3 mentees who, by the time we hit the deadline, the work was not complete, and now they've pushed it to period 43. That is the upcoming submission. And why that happens is because there's been a lot of deferment and postponements of work, and it could be for legible reasons, right? Practically, you're busy, you have work, perfectly all right. And obviously, right, that is perfectly all right. But if not, if you have time on your hands, then you have to plan this out. And you have to spread your work across the board. So, for example, if you start now, which is July, and the submission for the upcoming submission is on the 1st of November, right, 2021, which means you have a good 4 to 5 month period. And that is exactly the recommended time frame. Personally, I would recommend that time frame because of the OBU's new demand of quality. They really want a high output project. So if you can't really give them the quality that they demand and they need, you're not going to get the pass. But it is very difficult to produce that quality. However good of a writer you think you are, however decent of a researcher that you think you are, I've seen excellent researchers come to me and say, I failed the project. And most of the mentees I've been able to support are those of them who are resubmitting after, various challenges. So one thing that is really beneficial is not waiting until the end, until the last couple of months, not waiting until October to start. I've made it a habit to really not accept mentees also from my personal mentoring program and the services that I offer. If you're going to start work in October for the November submission or even September, the recommendation is you postpone it because it's very unlikely you can produce a high quality report that OBU will be satisfied with within that short time frame. So please start as early as possible. For the upcoming submission, I'm telling you, start now. How do you start? Tip number 1, read the information pack, right? 4th, not getting any and all doubts that you have clarified by any and all available means. So the idea of clarity is very important. And a lot of people fail a lot of things in life because they're not really clear about what to do and how to do these things. So OBU has given you so many tools, right? You have the information pack. You have the OBU email address to which you can write, the inquiries email address. You have the webinars. And you have the mentors who are trained by OBU. As mentors, we are trained by OBU. And there's a channel, right? There's a back channel that actually gives us the information that we need. So there are multiple means. You have to, throughout this entire project, right? Let's say you start the project today and you submit. So there's a 4-month frame. During that entire time period, everything that you do should be based on a clear point of view. You should be clear about what you're doing, why you're doing, how you're supposed to do things. You should be very clear. And to do this, you have to use all the means possible, all the channels that OBU has created for you possible, right? Not necessarily YouTube channels, but all the other channels, right? I told you before. So you have to use every, and like sometimes it's important to get things verified. Like you ask something from your mentor and your mentor gives their advice, but you want to, really make sure that, okay, that you can take that advice and apply it. So what you do is when you attend the next webinar, you bring that question up. It can help other students, other mentees also. So sometimes you need to get things verified. Sometimes you shouldn't hesitate, think twice, write an email to OBU, especially about things like anonymous presentations, especially technical aspects with respect to your submission, your registration number, all of these things. Rather than, talking to some third party, it's very easy to just directly write to OBU. And you're committed, like you're paying almost 420 some other pounds, right? It's a massive investment also. So you need to get your money's worth apart from the degree. And how can you submit a high quality project without really knowing the instructions clearly? So make sure that you get all doubts clarified. Last one, but not the least, is that you have to ensure that your research is extensive. So I can't really stress this enough. And this is where I actually start my mentoring process, by kind of stressing on this point. So I'm bringing it in here to this video. I hope whoever you work with in the world, it doesn't matter, this particular piece of advice applies, right? So don't limit your work to various frames of mind. Especially, it's very important, I have to tell you this. Sometimes you tend to talk to a friend who might have made a submission last period, and then you take it, you read it, and the moment you do that, your mind gets adjusted and geared toward that, right, toward that frame of mind, toward that project. So that is very, very inadvised. I don't recommend it at all. So you have to have a fresh take on things. You have to maintain your originality. Your perspective is important to OBU, and that's the whole point of a sort of bachelor's degree research project that you're undertaking. So make sure that your research that you undertake is very, very extensive, very, very thorough, primary, secondary, all the means of research that is available, and you spend a good load of time on the research itself. It's called the research and analysis project, not for not for any reason. It's exactly for that reason. It needs an extensive research. Only then you will be able to produce what OBU needs at the level they need and get that pass. You don't have to go through the hassle of resubmission, all of that. The objective here is simple. You submit a project to pass it the first time. That's the objective. So these are the 5 things. On top of this, there are layered advices that the mentoring process brings in. But these are the main 5 advices I need to give to all potential ACCA members, students, candidates who are going to undertake the OBU route for their BSc honors degree. So I hope the video has been helpful. If you want to work with me as your mentor, if you want to enlist me as your mentor and you want to build a mentor-mentee relationship, you can request an initial session and we can get started. By all means, you can contact me. Just send me your full name, what your remaining ACCA papers are, whether you're a working or a full-time student, your WhatsApp contact for emergencies, and your country of residence to this email address that you are seeing on the screen, azman.branudeen@gmail.com. And upon receiving it, you'll get an email about the initial session. We'll set it up. We'll basically have a chat and then get you started, right? I have to remind you that the initial session there are no obligations here. The objective is we connect and you take what you can. So the initial session is actually a free consult. So you can just reach out and we can set it up. The whole idea is we build the narrative to getting started, right? A solid foundation to get you started. That is how we will be working if you enlist me as your mentor. I am looking forward to the opportunity, inshallah. And I hope that all of you are doing really well. Please do get started and do get the advices very seriously and do one of the best projects that OBU has ever seen. So there is no room for any kind of failure. You need to continue your journey. This is all part of the ACB Education's mentoring and coaching services. So one of the products and one of the services I offer is ACCA's OBU RAP Mentoring. Thank you very much for watching the video. May peace be upon all of you and your loved ones. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.